Hi, so I want to show today the power of Veeam Instant VM Recovery, and this isn't new. In fact, Veeam's had this for the best part of 9 years. So what that means is this is the ability to take those backup files and present them as fast as possible back into your production or to any environment and get them back up and running as fast as possible. But there's also other use cases around that, and that could be to offer out a virtual machine or a set of virtual machines that allow for a developer or testing operations, etc., as a use case to be able to go into those machines as fast as possible to run a test against them and then shut it down without consuming them. And the key part of that is that we're able to take that backup file, present that into our virtual environment using our patented technology called vPower NFS. So we present that in as a data store, and then we spin up the machine. The machine is then running from that backup storage. We've then got the option, if it's a failure scenario, then we've got the option to leverage the hypervisor fast recovery methods or fast migration methods such as storage vMotion to move it back into that fast production storage. So from a demo perspective, I want to actually simulate a failure. So I've got my critical WordPress system here that we can see, and I'm just going to literally simulate a failure of that machine by powering it off. We can see from here that hopefully that ping will stop. There we go, so we can see that that's down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to actually delete this from disk, simulating a complete catastrophic failure. So yes, I want to remove it completely. Now alarm bells are ringing and we need to get that machine back up and running as fast as possible. So let's jump over to our Veeam backup and replication server. We want to restore from backup. We want to do an entire VM restore, and we want to leverage this instant VM recovery. Again, been here for 9 years. We want to find that WordPress site or WordPress virtual machine, and we can see that it's got its restore points. Then our next option is how far back do we want to go? Now typically we ran this already not so long ago, so let's use the latest restore point to push back into it. Now we've got the option to whether we want to restore to the original location or whether we want to restore to a new location with different settings. So if we wanted to push it to a test and dev environment, then we can do it. The caveat here is that we don't need to, just because we've taken the backup from environment A, doesn't mean we have to instant VM recover it back into environment A. We can do this same patented technology back into any environment. So for this, I want to push it back exactly as it was at the time of the backup, because I want to get back up and running as fast as possible. So we give it a reason, and off we go. So do we want to connect to the VM to the network and power on? Yes, we do. We want to make sure that that's up and running as fast as possible. We can see from our ping here that we're completely down. Our website is not serving data, and we are currently losing money or potentially losing revenue because that machine is no longer serving to our customers. So we get to see here that we're starting that VM recovery. We're going to connect to that host that we chose that it was already running on. We're going to choose that backup repository that we're restoring from. We're going to use that patented technology, that vPower NFS, and we're going to mount that data store. We're going to lock the backup file because nothing needs to be merged or synthetic. No synthetic operations need to happen to that. And we're going to publish that VM and update the configuration. We're going to check for that, and we can now see, if we jump back over to the system, we can now see that WordPress site is now back up and running and serving data. And if I jump down to this, you'll start to see that we should, and there we go, our machine is back up and running. And you saw how fast that was to bring that machine back up into our production environment. Now, at this point, we've got the ability to, within the Veeam console, we can open the VM console and we can jump onto that machine. And So we can leverage that and we can get onto that machine via the vSphere console that's ported through into the Veeam backup and replication server. By the way, this is still running on that backup storage. So for us to confirm and migrate that back into production, we just need to hit this button here. You also see that the cancel publishing, which ultimately in that test and dev type scenario, we can just kill it and off it goes, and we're never changing anything to do with the production VM or changing anything to do with that backup. That backup is immutable. We're not making any changes to that. What we do, any changes that we do implement into that virtual machine is written to a cache. And during the process we can choose whether that's a data store, so with fast disk, or it will actually write to a temporary location within the vPower NFS mount server, so the backup repository. So any changes are also stored, but we're not making any changes to that backup. So we know that we want this machine back up and over onto fast production storage, so we can go and commit this. Whilst this is happening, that machine is still up and running. We are serving data and we're able to then continue our customers coming into that system. So regardless of how long this takes, yes, there may be a production performance impact, but on the flip to that, it's still running. So we're running our quick migration. Another tool that we should probably talk more about is the ability to migrate. And what we're going to do here is we're going to leverage, in this instance, vSphere Storage vMotion, and we're going to Storage vMotion that machine back from the backup repository back into production. So again, that machine is up and running and has been since we completed that restore in a matter of minutes, seconds even. So nothing's changed and that machine is now back up and running.